Presidential education, good luck up here. When we came into office in 2015, gentlemen, we had a clear idea of what we wanted to do for the country. If I had time, I would have just told you the processes. It's quite long. I don't have the time to say so. But we articulated a blueprint, which we call Education for Change, a ministerial strategic plan, and we launched this in 2016. The plan is anchored on 10 pillars. At the end of the first 4 years of this administration, I gave a press briefing titled Our Stewardship in the Last 4 Years. I believe our press section has copies for journalists. In 2020, I gave my annual ministerial briefing, and copies are also here for you. Similarly, we had in 2021, and copies of that one are also here. So what we are doing today is just to update what we have been updating you regularly. And this will cover the last 8 months from today, 8 months backwards. The update is anchored on 7 thematic areas, namely education policy, data, and planning. B, infrastructural development. C, service delivery. D, human capital development. E, access to quality education. F, what we have done with regard to job creation. And G, industrial relations within the sector. So let me start with education policy, data, and planning. It is a policy of the federal government that every state of the federation should have at least 1 federal university, 1 federal polytechnic, and 1 college of education. For 2020, we have established 3 new polytechnics, bringing the total number to 9 from 2020. This administration has ensured that all states of the federation now have a federal university and a federal polytechnic. With 9 universities, 9 polytechnics, and 6 colleges of education established between 2018 and today. And this administration is determined to ensure that they take off very well. That is why provisions have been made for all of them. Number 2 is revitalization of the teaching profession. I would like you to recall that in October 2020, President Buhari approved the policy document for the revitalization and repositioning of teaching profession in Nigeria at both the basic and secondary school levels. There are 4 updates here. The policy is now an act of the National Assembly. We thank God that it has become law. The elongation of years of service has now been implemented. This was recently done by the Office of the Head of Service and the Ministry. Provision has been made in 2022 budget for bursary allowances for deserving students in education courses around the country in our universities. And then free education for 4 biological children of staff in our unity colleges nationwide. Ladies and gentlemen, this is part of the packages that will make people take to teaching. This is part of the assistance government is giving teachers. Relevant departments are already working on modalities for including this in the 2023 budget. Take-off of Senior Secondary School Education Commission. I'm glad to announce that the Commission has already taken off to complete the cycle of regulatory institution framework in the country, having regard to the fact that there is NUC for universities, there is MBTE for polytechnics, and the National Commission College of Education for colleges of education. That is at the tertiary level. May I inform you that the Commission has already started putting together a working template to regulate the senior secondary education in the country. And we are doing this in consultation with states, because constitutionally, I think the secondary education is under the purview of states. And if federal government adopts this, we need to cajole them into accepting it. Similarly, a census of all senior secondary schools has revealed that we now have 25,782 senior secondary schools, with approximately 3.2 million learners at that level. We set up white paper committees to make recommendations to government on the report of the visitation panels, which we received in 2021. The reports have since been reviewed and they have been submitted and have been processed by government. They will soon be gazetted. The next is information and communication technology. One of the greatest achievements we recorded in the education sector during the period under review was the development and launching of the e-learning website for all levels of our educational system. I would therefore like to use this opportunity to direct all regulatory agencies in the sector to ensure that all educational institutions under their purview interface with the ICT department in the ministry in order to develop and deploy relevant content on the website. Apart from ease of access, this will also ensure that teaching and learning will continue seamlessly even in the face of a pandemic or future strike or any disaster that will affect our education system. During the COVID-19 pandemic, disruption to learning was greatly reduced with the rollout of 3 e-learning packages. Number 1 is Inspire for learners. Number 2, Ignite for education. And number 3, Nigeria Learning Passport. Preliminary evidence from the release of this year's West African School Certificate Examination results indicated that performance was better last year, 2021, than 2022. Anything happening there? Perhaps this could be alluded to self-paced learning opportunities provided by digital learning. And we find this very interesting, that when students are made to adopt student-centered learning processes, they learn better. Because in 2022, they had their lectures, they had their teachers, they were in class. But the result is a little worse than in 2021 when they were at home and getting it either on television or on the internet. The websites for your information are inspire.education.gov.ng. And the other one is ignite.education.gov.ng, in case you want to see what is happening there. The next area is infrastructural development in our schools. This administration has invested in infrastructural development of the education sector more than any other administration in the history of this country. It is on record that Tertiary Education Trust Fund, that is state fund, has invested an estimated 2.5 trillion in tertiary education in the last 10 years. Even though this is an intervention, I just want you to note that it has exceeded even the 1.3 trillion that ASU has been asking. Then we look at basic and secondary education. The ministry has invested heavily in the construction, renovation, and rehabilitation of classrooms, hostels, laboratories, security issues, and other infrastructural facilities at the basic and secondary school levels. In the last 7 years, a total of 553 billion, 134 million, 967,498 naira 50 kobo has gone into the development infrastructure at the basic and secondary school levels. On service delivery, we'll look at what our examination bodies have done. Our national examination bodies, namely JAMB, NECO, WAEC, NAPTEP, and MBIAS. And I'm sure some of you are hearing them for the first time, perhaps. They have done creditably well, especially in the operationalization of various examinations they conduct. JAMB and WAEC are already advanced, applying digital technology to their processes. However, examination malpractices are still endemic in the system. May I use this opportunity to direct them to tighten the noose, as they have already started, on perpetrators of malpractices, whoever they are, be they parents, students, or their proxies or agents, or organized crime. Just as we are now finding out, it is beyond just the individual who is caught on the scene. I charge the chief examiners to work closely with law enforcement agencies to track down and prosecute those who perpetuate the evil. I understand JAMB is already doing this. National examination schedules. Gentlemen of the press, you are all aware of the setback COVID-19 brought to our calendar and to our examination schedules in the last 2 years. In an effort to correct the distortions, we had to reschedule our national examinations, which have already taken place now. I'm glad to announce that we will resume our normal examination schedules in the next academic session. Human capital development. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, in the last 7 years of this administration has focused on human capital development at the tertiary level of our education system. A lot of resource has gone into various categories of training, including PhDs, masters, and other related research programs for staff of universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Access to quality education. At my 2020 annual ministerial briefing, I informed the press that we had reduced the number of out-of-school children from an estimated 13 million to 6.9 million. May I inform you that we have further recorded impressive enrollment in the last 1 year, especially in some of the frontline states: Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Sokoto, Gombe, Bauchi, Adamawa, Taraba, Rivers, and Ebonyi states. This achievement has been largely due to the activities of the Better Education Service Delivery for All, BESDA, and the cooperation of state governments. Our only setback was that occasioned by COVID-19 and the insecurity and increased birth rates among our other factors. However, insecurity in this case, while we are taking students off the streets into schools, insecurity is sending some others from school into the streets. However, we are working assiduously to further reduce the number to more manageable levels. Next is access to basic and secondary education. In order to expand and guarantee access to quality basic and secondary education, we have established additional 6 federal science and technical colleges across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, bringing the number of unity colleges from 104 in 2015 to 110 now. And we have increased the total carrying capacity of our unity colleges within the period that is from 2014, when it was 161,274, to date, when it is 177,274 now. The process of establishing 5 new federal science and technical colleges has already commenced. Then access to tertiary education. At the inception of the administration in 2015, Nigeria had 40 federal universities. The Buhari administration has established additional 9 universities, bringing the total number to 49. Similarly, we met a total of 39 state universities. Since then, we have licensed additional 16 universities, bringing the total number of state universities to 55. And the total number of public universities now stand at 104. Similarly, we have licensed a total of 50 private universities, and this is more than any other administration has done within the same period in the entire history of Nigeria. As of 2014, the country had 49 private universities. Now we have 111. more than that in the public sector. Together, therefore, Nigeria today has 215 universities. In spite of these laudable efforts in ensuring unfettered access to university education, the challenges posed by illegal universities, or degree mills as you call them, still persists. As I speak, the NUC has identified at least 70 illegal universities in the country. And I'm telling you that we are going to make sure that they stop operating. Some of them already have. Their full list, you will find them in the 2021 ministerial briefing that I gave. Polytechnics and allied institutions. As of 2014, Nigeria had 24 federal polytechnics. The Buhari administration has established 12, bringing the number to 36. In the same vein, we had 41 state polytechnics in 2014. 7 have been added, bringing the total number to 48. And we had 7 private polytechnics as at 2014. This administration has licensed 41 private polytechnics, bringing the number to 48. In terms of carrying capacity, federal polytechnics had 60,800 students in 2014. Today we have 63,700. And the current capacity of state polytechnics stood at 52,480 in 2014. Today it stands at 60,880. In colleges of education, at the inception of this administration, we had 21 federal colleges of education. We have established additional 6 colleges in the last 6 years, bringing the total number to 27. We have also inherited 46 state colleges of education in 2014. Between 2014 and now, we have 50 additional state colleges of education, bringing the total number to 96. In the same vein, we met 48 private colleges of education when we came in. As I speak now, we have a total of 120 private colleges of education. And in terms of carrying capacity, we have improved the capacity from 39,350 in 2014 to 104,450 as of now. The carrying capacity of state colleges of education has also moved from 153,490 in 2014 to 405,132. Put together, the carrying capacity of private and public colleges of education now stands at 509,582. The challenges of illegal colleges of education is as great as that of illegal universities. We have also identified an alarming number of illegal colleges of education, totaling 125. The National Commission for Colleges of Education has written their proprietors to shut them down, and they have followed with action. I hope in my next briefing, monthly briefing, I'll be able to tell you that they have all closed down. And all that we have done in all sectors has created a lot of great many jobs. In the tertiary institutions, the establishment of additional universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and allied institutions has led to massive job creation in both the public and private sectors of the education sector. Over 20,000 direct jobs made up of academic and non-academic staff have been created in the tertiary institutions alone. Then the National Senior Secondary Education Commission and the technical colleges. Similarly, the establishment and take-off of the Nigerian Senior Secondary Education Commission, the 6 federal science and technical colleges have also created thousands of job opportunities for Nigerians. There are what we call PTA teachers. In some of our schools where there are shortages, the parents will get together and employ some. From time to time, the ministry will advise the Public Service Commission, and these are absorbed. So far, we have absorbed about 1,500 PTA teachers across our unity colleges. skills acquisition centers. With the planned official launch of the Innovation Development and Effectiveness in the Acquisition of Skills, the IDEAS project, in the coming days, it is my sincere hope that more direct jobs will be created for training young people in order to acquire skills to further expand the job opportunities. All the geopolitical zones in the country will benefit from this collaboration with the World Bank. Industrial relations. In the basic and secondary school sector, let me use this opportunity to commend our teachers for their patience, for their resilience, and for their patriotism, particularly for not going on any strike since 2015, when this administration came into office. On our part, the government will reciprocate this gesture by ensuring an accelerated implementation of the teacher revitalization program, as well as regular payment of teachers' salaries. May I add that without any strike, government intervention in the 110 unity colleges has turned these schools into centers of excellence. We can do it without any strike, no doubt. Strikes are a huge distraction, doing no one any good. They neither do the government, nor the students, nor even the staff who are on strike any good. In the tertiary education, unions in the tertiary education in the country, especially the academic staff union of universities, have engaged in recurring and avoidable strikes that have crippled the university system. This is in spite of the huge investments of over 2.5 trillion made in the tertiary institutions by TED Fund alone. Common knowledge is to many Nigerians may not know that the federal government is paying the salaries of every staff in its tertiary institutions, academic and non-academic, while these institutions are still in full control of the internally generated revenues that they themselves make. Just recently, we inaugurated a committee to negotiate the 2009 agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Universities and other related unions in the tertiary institutions. We are doing everything humanly possible to conclude on the negotiations. It is our hope that the outcome of these negotiations will bring lasting industrial peace to our campuses. In the meantime, I'm sure that the current efforts would yield desired results and return our children back to school. I want to use this opportunity to thank all Nigerians, especially those that contributed in our efforts to see to the resolution of the present crisis. The implementation of the sector blueprint is on course. In the last 7 years, we have undertaken massive physical development of infrastructure, ICT development at all levels of our educational system, established new institutions, improved carrying capacity of our institutions, expanded access to quality education at all levels. Steps are also being taken to accelerate the implementation of the 2020 presidential approval for the revitalization of the teaching profession. The government of President Muhammad Buhari has expended a total of 6,300,947,848,237 naira in capital expenditure in the education sector in the last 7 years. This is in addition to interventions from TED Fund and UBEC. For TED Fund are amounting to 2.5 trillion, and for UBEC, 553,134,967,498 naira in capital investment. We must also note and appreciate a huge investment from states and the private sector at all levels of our education system. We'll continue to improve on the implementation of the strategic plan all through 2023 for the overall development of education in Nigeria. We'll continue to create the necessary enabling environment to attract more private sector investment in education. By the grace of God, we are going to hand over a better education sector than what we inherited. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. I know this is comprehensive enough. You don't have any questions. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. As comprehensive as your presentation is,